Hey, everybody. Welcome to the All Clemson Show, Friday edition, wrapping up your work week. Listen to us talk about Clemson for a little bit. We appreciate that. I'm Brad Singoff. He's Zach Lentz. He's Jason Priester. He's Owen Watterson. And we're looking forward to a fun show with you tonight as we're going to break down some various things. But I want to start with a little NFL discussion because I have decided I'm making a proclamation, fellas. I am not a Jacksonville Jaguars fan at all, but I am proclaiming here and right now they're the new adopted team of Clemson fans. Now, we obviously know that Travis Etienne and Trevor Lawrence are on their way to Jacksonville. They're going to be at rookie minicamp this weekend. Trevor Lawrence will be a bit limited. We had that on allclemson.com earlier this week. But I think you're going to see a ton of fans pull their allegiance, whether it is from the Houston Texans or from the Carolina Panthers or whoever. I think they're going to start watching more and more of Jacksonville games. Think about it like this. Even if you're a Panthers fan, you're sitting there on a Sunday at 1 p.m. Jacksonville's on one channel, Carolina's on the other. I got a feeling a whole lot of Clemson fans who have been Panther fans for decades are going to be flipping it over and watching Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. Am I wrong? Somebody tell me.
No.
I mean, here's the thing. Let's just go to Owen. You go first because, I mean, you're the resident Panther fan in this group. So, I mean, go ahead and tell us what you're meeting on Sundays.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, especially touching the Panthers bit. You know, other than the Falcons, Clemson fans don't have too many other teams that they can choose to go towards. And I think it goes deeper with the Jaguars owner, Shahid Khan. I think is a lot smarter than people are giving him credit for. Even before they drafted Lawrence, he was making headway in the UK, trying to make the Jaguars one of the biggest faces as far as NFL fans in Europe and United Kingdom especially. And now he has the opportunity. They got Lawrence at number one. It's been concluded for months, as we all know. And then the opportunity to get Etienne at 25, while Etienne is going to be great for Trevor Lawrence. A lot of people are saying James Robinson, needs more time, but he's 30. Etienne's by far the youngest back on the roster. And I think that had to be a conversation in their war room. Okay, now we have both of these guys. What are the chances that Clemson fans, for the very least, aren't tuning into week one?
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that the Panther fans are going to quit rooting for their team, but I'm just telling you, I think Panther fans are going to find themselves surprised with which team they pick to watch the most.
Yeah, I tend to agree. You know, we kind of saw the same thing happen when a bunch of Clemson players went to the Raiders, a couple years ago. A lot of Tiger fans flocked over, to what we was calling at the time Clemson West. I think we're fixing to see something very similar play out here with Lawrence and Etienne in Jacksonville. I can already see it on social media. Fans have been scooping up the Trevor Lawrence jerseys and the Etienne jerseys. I think Jacksonville's got a much larger fan base today than they did 2 weeks ago.
Absolutely.
Yep. And you saw it with Watson when first got drafted too. I mean, just walking around my small local town, the red Houston Deshaun Watson jerseys were everywhere.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you rather wear a 16 Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville jersey or a Sam Darnold Panthers jersey?
Well, you're going to take me there right now? I think I'm going to have to take my boy Darnold, man. I can't hate on the weapons Lawrence has in this first year. I'm not even going to go there, but you're right. There's a lot of Panthers fans that are going to switch over this upcoming NFL season.
That is pretty brutal. But here's the thing. I mean, you have Raiders fans out there. I mean, they've got Mullen and Farrell and Renfro out there. So, I mean, there's a lot of NFL talent. All these Clemson Tigers are brought to the NFL. So, I mean, there's teams out there for everybody to pay from. But I would agree with you, Brad. I think Clemson fan base is going to naturally flock to Jacksonville like they did with Watson. I mean, you saw those number 4 Texans jerseys pop up all over the place. People that weren't Texans fans became Texans fans because he was the quarterback of Clemson, led in the national title. Then you see the exact same thing happen.
Last thing on this one, move on. If you want to send somebody to cover the Raiders, I'll nominate myself to be our official Vegas correspondent. Zach, send me out there.
I'm sure you would. There wouldn't be any gambling going on with you at all, would there?
No, I'll be working too much.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm sure you would.
So we're going to do a little something different this week and talk a little recruiting, since things are fixing to take off in the recruiting world and the dead period's fixing to be lifted. We saw one of the most recent offers Clemson sent out went to 4-star cornerback Earl Little Jr. Right before he got his offer, he had already released his list of top 6 schools, but I think this offer really changes things for Little. I think Clemson's going to be a major player. I don't know whether they'll eventually land him, but even by his own admission, he's having to rethink things, and he even says Clemson's going to be a major player for him. Some of the other bigger news was, Arch Manning is going to be on campus the first week of June. I've gotten a lot of questions already about where is he going. Look, I don't even think he knows where he's going right now. There's no way for anybody else to know where he's going. And there's a long ways to go with this kid's recruitment. He's going to take a lot of visits just in the month of June alone. You might have a better idea, sometime later in the summer, but right now I think Clemson's got just as good a shot as anybody, even in the SEC.
Jason, let me ask you about Arch Manning real quick. From a talent standpoint, we all know the last name. Does this guy have the pedigree to go on with, or the stars, I should say, to go on with that pedigree that he's coming from?
That's the popular question right now, and it's hard to answer. There's a lot of people that think he's past where Eli and Peyton were at this stage in their careers. And that's saying a lot. I don't want to go that far yet. I mean, I would definitely say he's definitely more mobile than both of those guys. He's a little more like his grandfather, Archie Manning, in that respect. But, I definitely think this kid's got talent. I think he's the real deal, no doubt about it. Whether he's going to be as good as Eli or Peyton, that remains to be seen. But I definitely think the ceiling's there.
Now let me take it one more direction for you, Jason, talking about Arch Manning. Now, I think some people have heard, I think we've done stories about it, the subtle connections that Peyton has had with Trevor Lawrence throughout his draft process. You think the subtle interactions that Mr. Peyton has had with Trevor Lawrence could sway Arch in any kind of way towards Clemson, knowing how Sweeney runs the program?
Oh, I think Clemson's definitely going to be a player here. First step's always getting the kids on campus, and he's going to be on campus. We saw Lawrence reach out and try to help in the recruitment of Ty Simpson. Clemson didn't land him. But we always see former players jumping in and trying to help recruit at high school prospects at times. And I think that's something that definitely could play a factor. Whether it will or not, it might not even come to that. Yeah, it might not even come to that. But, I mean, if the Tigers are in it, late and they're legitimately in it, that definitely could be a possibility.
Yeah, I'll ask you about him too. I mean, you think about his last name. I mean, the Manning last name is synonymous to the greatest in the quarterback position in football. But is there a danger when you look at a kid simply because of his last name? I mean, does his talent back up his last name? I mean,
there's always a danger just going by his last name's gonna draw attention no matter what. And like I said earlier, I can't say he's going to be as good as either Eli or Peyton. I think he's definitely talented. He's definitely one of the top quarterbacks and one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the class, probably the top quarterback in the class. But if he's that generational talent, I think I'm leaning towards saying yes, but I'm not completely sold on that yet. I want to see how his senior season plays out before I'm fully saying that.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson fans should know the last name Kelly. I mean, Jim Kelly and stuff like that. But I seem to remember a nephew of his that came to Clemson and didn't pan out.
Flag.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I think that's a perfect time to move on into the next bit, talking about way far out ahead, next year's 2022 potential draftees. And headlining the list, we have to start with Justin Ross, guys, right? Justin Ross, I think, if anybody, maybe Andrew Booth Jr., if some of the flashes turn out to be, production on the field here with start of September. But Justin Ross, despite the neck injury, I think has to be considered Clemson's best prospect and maybe the only one with first-round potential. I debated putting Mac Bockhorst up there, whether he switches to center, plays inside at guard, remains to be seen. Fall camp will tell a lot there. But Bockhorst, unless he were to enter as a tackle, which I don't see because he's a little undersized, listed 315, I believe, only 6'4". At guard, I think alone would move him back to the second round despite how he plays this year. But Ross is the big name, and despite Ross, there are still tons of Tigers: Frank Ladson Jr., Tyler Davis, Sheridan Jones, Braden Galloway, just to start the list. And 2022 could legitimately break Clemson records for the amount of guys taken in the draft. What do y'all think about that?
Absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head with Ross. I mean, he's going to be the guy. I mean, it's going to headline this class. I mean, he Williams type ability. You saw where Williams went in the 2017 draft. I mean,
number 7. Now, I don't think he'll go that high. That's for sure. I don't know if he'll go 7 or beat Watkins at 4 or even back to 79, beating Jerry Butler at number 4, right? So I don't think he's going in the top 10. But if we're talking first-round talent all, and I think Justin Ross is the only name that gets there with potential for Andrew Booth, depending on how he plays this year.
I think there's several players who we could very much undersell here right now. I mean, there are at least 12, probably 13. Well, defensive tackle like him is not going to go that high, but I mean, you're talking about a whole season of work that's about to be laid out in 2021. I don't think we can cap on just how many guys can move up into first, second round kind of material. Like Sheridan Jones is a guy that I'm keeping an eye on because there's a lot of mock drafters out there that really like him. We haven't seen Sheridan Jones do a ton so far in his career. He hasn't made a whole bunch of starts. Joseph Ngata is a guy who I think we can all agree he could just all of a sudden come out of nowhere this year and have a huge season and all of a sudden pop up on draft boards. I mean, you just don't know what all is going to happen over the course of this season. So I think Owen's on to something. There's going to be a lot of prospects, but where they go remains very much to be seen in my eyes. I think there's a lot of guys who have the opportunity to move up for sure.
Yeah, there's still a lot of questions, surrounding Ross. He hadn't played in over a year. People's going to want to see, NFL teams are going to want to see him on the field and how that neck is and how he produces this year. But I think he's definitely got first-round potential. I saw some list on Twitter one day this week ranking the wide receivers for college football this year, and they had Ross like 48 or 49th on the list, man. Something absurd. Even Ross seen it himself and retweeted it and took a shot at the guy. But I think Ross is definitely, if you're talking about guys that can potentially go in the first round, Ross is definitely the first guy that comes to mind for me.
Well, don't look. The 22 class will be fun to keep up with. It's the 23 class that's going to be the big one for Clemson because you could have DJ Ongole, Miles Murphy, Brian Brzee, all first-round picks. Plus, if one of these receivers pops in the next couple of years, you could see one of them go in the first round as well. Watch out for that group.
Now, speaking of the 23 class, just to close it off here for a second, if Ross, despite Sweeney, he just said earlier this week on the Roar that Ross looks like he never got injured to begin with, which is great for fans. Obviously, you don't know. If he underwhelms with the amount of depth at receiver this year, is there a chance he forgoes 22 and waits till 23 to get another year again?
I doubt it, man. I don't know. There's only the window's going to close very quickly on him from a physical standpoint. He needs to take advantage of his opportunities when they're there.
Yeah, and he was probably a guy that was probably already planning on only staying at Clemson 3 years anyways, and now he's already having to stay a fourth year. I have a hard time seeing him come back for a fifth.
Absolutely. Before we hit our final topic of the night, I want to remind everybody to go to fnxfitness.com. They're a proud sponsor of the show. Use the code AllClemson2021 for 15% off your purchases. And look, if everybody goes and purchases something, Brad would say he'll do the show shirtless. So, I mean, that's a bonus right there.
Let's go. Everybody's ready to watch the gun show, huh? You ready?
I did say I was in on that bet too, to be fair. So I guess I'll take part in that if needed.
Very true, very true, very true. Everybody will do the show shirtless one day if everybody goes and orders from the site. But be sure to check them out. They're great sponsor, great stuff there. So you love them over at fnxfitness.com.
I mean, the good news if we do that is we don't need any backlighting or anything.
That's very true.
People gonna be wearing sunglasses watching this show.
I might have to do it in the dark.
All right.
You're not wrong
Goodness.
about that, Jason. You're not wrong about that. Hey, by the way, folks, make sure you go to allclemson.com. Softball coverage all weekend long. Don't forget about that during the ACC championship game tomorrow. Zach will be all over that.
Very true. I have a little video I want to show y'all first before we get into my big news. So this is it.
Oh, I saw this the other day.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So the friends are reuniting after 17 years. I for one don't care. I mean, I never liked that stupid show to start with. So I mean, who cares? Why are they bringing them back after 17 years? We're going to see a fat Joey walking out.
Because there's a lot of people my age that jumped on the fad of watching Friends once it was on Netflix, etc.
Right.
Same thing with The Office too.
Overweight Joey walking down the street. I mean, what's he gonna do? He can't even fit into his clothes. I don't know Chandler's clothes now. So
here we go.
Zach, let's be honest.
Zach doesn't like something, so he's going to spend 5 minutes ripping it apart. Here we go. We're used to get off my lawn, guy.
Oh man, my wife was huge. She loved that show.
Very true, but no, I mean here, and I'll say, Dante, today this was the scene after Valley home run to get the Tigers a 2-0 lead. I want to just point out this is a great thing because this is where we can go. You see John Ribbon there; he doesn't have a mask on. I mean, so I mean, it showed me just a little bit of semblance of getting back to some sense of normalcy in the world. I mean, it's helped us through this pandemic. So, I mean, it's great to see him out there with his mask on, sure he's fully vaccinated and stuff. But to me,
the small things.
We're getting back to some sense of normalcy. And hopefully, you know, Brad had a great column today on the state of North Carolina relaxing their regulations for the game. So, I mean, we're getting there, people. We're getting there, slowly but surely.
Amen. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to be back in Death Valley in full, just like the old days.
Feels weird to say the old days, huh?
Hey, it's been a long time since last March. So
yes, it has.
Yes,
it has. But guys, I just wanted to throw this out there just as a little encouragement to everybody. I mean, you know, we are getting closer to normal. We are getting very close to again being able to do things that we used to do again. Just keep your head down, you know, keep doing what you've been doing, America. I mean, you're doing great, and let's keep it up. But for Brad, for Jason, for watching tonight for the allclemson.com show, we'll be back Monday morning with our Death Valley Daily, so be sure to tune into that. And look, if you haven't done so, subscribe button on YouTube and like our page here so you can make sure that you're always when we go live and when we post new content. And allclemson.com tonight we'll have full baseball coverage. Jason's on the baseball game. I'll have softball this weekend. Brad will have some football stuff coming this weekend. And Owen's got some special Dabo swing stuff coming. So, guys, stay safe. Keep doing what you're doing. And, look, we'll get back to normal sooner or later. For these guys, yeah.
Everybody have a great weekend except AJ Minter. I don't want you to have a good weekend. You're terrible. Go ahead, Zach.
I second that.
All right, have a good one, guys.